It started with coffee. Not a high-speed chase, not a shootout, just a man in a suit grabbing a cup of black coffee, until a county deputy decided he looked out of place. Moments later, that deputy's gun was drawn. A crowd was filming, and the quiet man with calm eyes had the entire federal government on his side. By the time the dust settled, careers were hanging by a thread, and it all unraveled in the middle of a gas station parking lot in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Tuesday morning. Not dawn, not quite rush hour. The kind of time when the world's noise hasn't fully settled in, but the streets are already breathing with movement. Near East Blackstock Road, just west of town, a sleek black SUV rolled into the chevron. Government tags, tinted glass, a vehicle that didn't belong between the soda machine and the ice chest. Inside, a tall man in his 40s stepped out, broad-shouldered, calm, not flashy, but with that unmistakable air of command. Charcoal gray suit, crisp white shirt, no tie. Just an earpiece in his right ear and a glint of metal near his waist. He wasn't browsing or lingering. He knew what he came for. One black coffee, nothing else. His name was Quentin Dre, Deputy Chief, United States Secret Service. But as Quentin exited the store, coffee in hand, another vehicle barreled in. County cruiser, rushed stop, tires squealing slightly. Deputy Ray Denlow stepped out like a man already angry. Broad frame, buzz cut, mirrored aviators. Though the sky was overcast, his hand dropped casually but deliberately to his sidearm. "You with that SUV?" he barked, already approaching. Quentin turned, calm, measured. "Yes, sir." "Keys," Denlow ordered. "Registration, now. Name." Quentin's brow raised slightly. "I'm on active duty. I can identify myself." "I said your name." Denlow's voice sharpened, volume rising. His fingers now fully wrapped around his holster. People noticed. A man at pump 3 slowed his fill-up. A woman near the air pump froze mid-swipe. Phones quietly rose. Quentin's tone stayed level. "Deputy Chief Quentin Dre, Secret Service." "Wrong answer." Denlow laughed, a dry, dismissive scoff. He stepped closer. "Everybody's got a story. That your cousin's ride? Maybe your brother's? You steal it?" Quentin didn't react. "I can show you credentials." Slowly, left inner pocket. "Fake badges are a dime a dozen," Denlow snapped, drawing his weapon. Someone gasped out loud. Another phone started recording. Quentin moved with deliberate calm. He knelt, placed his coffee down, and laced his hands behind his head. "I am not a threat. Credentials are in my left pocket." But Denlow wasn't listening. He circled, gun still aimed. "You in on something? Waiting for your boys to show up? Recording me?" Quentin didn't answer. Sometimes silence says more than any defense. Then Denlow made his move, jerking open the SUV's door. No drugs, no weapons. Just a laptop, a dock terminal, and an ID badge clipped near the glove box. That's when Quentin spoke again, louder this time. "You just accessed a secure federal vehicle without probable cause." Denlow's eyes narrowed, but before he could reply, another SUV pulled in. Same black build, low idle, tinted glass. He didn't notice, but someone inside that vehicle definitely noticed him. From that second vehicle stepped a tall woman in black, earpiece in, stride tight with purpose. Her voice rang out across the lot. "Dre, status?" Still kneeling, Quentin replied evenly. "Non-compliant local, weapon drawn, unauthorized search. I've remained passive." Her eyes snapped to Denlow. "And who exactly do you think you are?" He lowered his gun by a few inches. He claimed to be Secret Service. I couldn't just take his word. She flashed a badge. Quick, firm, final. "Senior Agent Kendra Moss, Secret Service, and that man is my superior." Denlow's smirk twitched. "Didn't Lou?" "Don't finish that," she cut in. "You already said enough." Another SUV arrived. This one moved like it had orders. Two men stepped out. Suits, steady walk, alert but unthreatening. One, silver streaks at his temples, approached Quentin. "Deputy Chief Dre, are you harmed?" "No, sir." "Body cams active. Witnesses recording. Failure to confirm credentials confirmed?" "Confirmed. You may stand." Quentin rose slowly, adjusting his jacket like he was prepping for a press conference, not walking away from a drawn gun. Denlow still postured like he had control. took a step toward the agent. Denlo looked around, realizing how far things had gotten out of his hands. Kendra stepped closer. You saw a black man in a suit and made a call based on nothing but bias. Quentin finally turned to him, calm, no anger, just facts. I was getting coffee. You decided that didn't make sense to you. Denlo didn't speak. He couldn't. Then the final shift happened. The agent with gray temples stepped forward, badge open. Supervisory Special Agent Lyle Mercer, I need your weapon, now. You're serious? This wasn't a stop. This was a violation. And you're under federal detainment. Denlo hesitated. His hand moved, but not for his gun this time. Two agents stepped forward instinctively, no weapons drawn, just enough presence to kill the moment. Don't make it worse, Kendra said quietly. Denlo finally drew his sidearm, holding it by the grip toward Mercer. It was over. The badge didn't shield him now. The crowd, the cameras, the agents, none were on his side. Hands visible, Mercer ordered. Denlo obeyed, teeth clenched. You good, sir? Kendra asked Quentin. Better now. The noise of the world crept back in. A phone rang inside the store, a gas pump beeped, but all eyes stayed fixed. Y'all catching this? Someone called out. Better get his badge number. Another near the entrance waved his phone. I got the whole thing. Y'all want it? Mercer nodded. We'll want every copy. Our team will follow up. Is he going to jail? Someone asked. Not yet, Mercer said. But he's not walking away either. Two black sedans pulled in, unmarked, clearly federal, likely Homeland Security. Quentin's ID must have triggered an alert during the confrontation. Inside the Field Command SUV, Quentin sat now with Mercer, Kendra, and a DHS liaison, Rachel Fenwick. She scrolled rapidly through incoming videos. We've confirmed 5 civilian uploads. Audio clean. No tampering. Mercer looked to Quentin. You want to speak on Ree? Quentin shook his head. No press. Let the report speak. They're already asking. MSNBC, The Hill, local affiliates. They can wait. Across the lot, Denlo sat in the back of the sedan, not cuffed, but changed. His face hollowed, his posture different. His department's rep, Lieutenant Byrd, paced in circles, foam glued to his ear. Quentin didn't go looking for the spotlight that day, but sometimes the truth finds its way into the light, whether you're ready or not. Inside the gas station, the clerk, a lean guy with a goatee named Aaron, stood stiffly, arms folded as he stared through the glass. I've seen that cop before, he told the federal agent, jotting down his statement. Denslow, real jittery. Got into it with me one time because I wouldn't unlock the beer fridge early. Did you see everything from in here? The agent asked. Aaron nodded. At first I thought it was a stick-up. Then I saw the guy kneel, say he was Secret Service. That's when I grabbed my phone, but the lady agent pulled up before I could get anything useful. Would you be willing to file a formal statement if needed? Euron let out a breath. Yeah. I don't want to end up face down just because I wear the wrong coat on the wrong day. Back in the SUV, Kendra looked over at Quentin. You okay? He gave a small nod. I'm used to watching things happen to others, not being the one in the spotlight. You were calm, like a machine. I had to be. One wrong move and I'm not a headline. I'm a eulogy. Mercer shifted in his seat, turning to Rachel. What's the department's position on Denslow? Administrative leave, no badge, no weapon, access revoked. Internal Affairs is running a parallel probe, she answered. The governor called yet? Not yet. Give it another hour. Outside, the gathering had mostly dispersed. A few lingered, hoping for more drama. But most left with their own versions of the story, stories they'd post online or bring up over. One woman, thin silver braids glinting in the sun, leaned into her car window and told her daughter, that man? That's how you stand your ground without letting go of who you are. Inside the SUV, Quentin stared straight ahead, not angry, not smug, just quiet. This wasn't just about me, he said. It happens to people all the time. Only difference? I had a badge. Most don't. Kendra gently placed her hand on the seat back. And now the whole nation's watching because this time the camera was rolling. But things weren't cooling down. They were just getting started. By mid-afternoon, the footage had gone viral. The hashtag Quintindre was trending everywhere. Captions like, "He stayed calm. They tried him. They failed." And imagine how often this happens without a camera. Flooded timelines. Cable news loops plastered it on screens. Black Secret Service agent detained at gas station. Cop draws weapon. Ignored ID just like that. Spartanburg turned into ground zero for a national reco. At a DHS command post, Quentin sat at a steel table while legal and communications teams debated next steps. "We can't keep your identity quiet anymore," said Marion Cho, DHS Media Counsel. A high school yearbook picture got posted. The local paper confirmed your position. "We're getting interview requests from CNN, PBS, daytime shows even," added another. Quentin rubbed his forehead. "I don't want to be a symbol." "You already are," Cho replied, "even if you stay silent." That video speaks loud. A TV screen nearby played the clip. Quentin kneeling on the asphalt, gun to his head. No audio needed. The visual told the whole story. A field agent entered holding a folder. "Prelim review of Denslow's file," she said. "Multiple complaints for aggressive behavior. 2 use of force cases in 5 years. Never disciplined. All dismissed." Cho frowned. "That's going to explode on national television." Quentin stood and walked to the window. Outside, protest signs, press vans, curious bystanders. He'd worked high-level protection details before, foreign soil, summit events, but nothing ever felt this exposed, this raw. A soft knock. A man stepped in, salt and pepper hair, firm expression. "Director Blake," he introduced himself. "Mind if we speak alone?" The others exited silently. "You handled yourself better than most would," Blake said. "Hell, better than I would." "I didn't really have a choice," Quentin replied. "He made his, I had to survive mine," Blake nodded. "Guys like Denslow rarely face consequences unless someone bleeds. But this time, you lived, and that matters." Quentin exhaled. "It shouldn't only matter because I survived. I'll back your decision if you want to stay quiet, but people need to hear from someone who didn't snap, someone who stayed firm, stayed human." Quentin looked again at the television, his photo next to his ID badge. Pundits talked over each other, but the truth was already clear. "I'll speak," he said, "but on my terms, one statement, no spin." "Understood," Blake said. As the door closed behind him, Quentin opened a legal pad and stared at the blank page. Outside, the crowd chanted. Reporters shouted questions. Protesters held signs. "We saw you, honor the badge," with truth. But what Quentin wrote next would silence all that noise, not with outrage, but with resolve. 3 days later, he stood behind a plain podium at a local community center. No stage, no backdrop, just a few hundred folding chairs and a sea of expectant faces. He wasn't in uniform, just slacks, a black sweater, sleeves rolled. "I've spent over 15 years protecting people who'll never know my name," he began. "That's the job. You stay sharp, you stay invisible. But sometimes attention finds you anyway." The room was silent. Phones hovered, recording. "I wasn't seen as a threat because of what I did, but because of what someone thought they saw. That's the truth." He paused, not for effect, but to catch the words. "I don't hate that officer. I don't even feel anger now. I feel let down, because someone who wears the same badge as me saw danger where there was only duty." In the front row, teens leaned forward, eyes locked on him. You've seen the video. But the moment that mattered most wasn't the gun. It was the choice I had to make, who to be, while someone else decided who I wasn't. He scanned the room. If I had raised my voice, moved too fast, said the wrong word, I might not be here. That haunts me. A ripple of silent agreement moved through the audience. My niece asked me, "Uncle Q, why do people treat us different when we didn't do anything?" I had no easy answer, but I told her this. When someone lowers the standard, you raise yours. When they lose control, you keep your soul. Applause rose, gentle but sincere. Afterward, people shook his hand. One elderly man with thick glasses said, "I wore the badge 31 years. What happened shamed me. But your words, they reminded me who the badge is for." That night, at his sister's house, Briar sat coloring. "Did people believe you?" she asked. "I think so." "Will it happen again?" He hesitated. "Some people will always get it wrong, but more people are starting to see." She looked up. "You didn't yell." "No," he said, "but I was loud enough." The video had faded. What lingered was his voice. 2 weeks later, Ray Denslow was officially suspended pending a hearing. The same record once ignored was now under fire. Public pressure forced the department to review its engagement policy. The statement they released was vague. People noticed. Quentin didn't chase press. No interviews, no book deals, just returned to duty. 3 weeks after the gas station standoff, he stood in front of a room of young federal recruits in Georgia. "Your job isn't just protection," he told them. "It's clarity. When chaos erupts, you see what other. Not just what's in front of you, but what's beneath it." A trainee raised his hand. "Sir, how do you stay calm?" Quentin smiled. "You don't train for calm. You train for clarity. And that doesn't come from ego. It comes from listening. From knowing if you're right, you don't need to yell." After class, a quiet young woman came up. "My brother saw your video," she said. "He doesn't trust law enforcement. But after watching you, he said, maybe not all of them." "Thank you," Quentin replied. He didn't need praise, but moments like that, they mattered. Later, sitting on his hotel porch, he ignored the news alerts. A national op-ed had just called his speech measured, powerful, overdue. He texted Briar, "Keep asking questions. That's how we change things. Love you." She responded instantly with a drawing. Quentin standing tall beside a police figure. Above them in bold crayon, "Be better than what they expect." He smiled, not because everything was fixed, but because change had a face now. This story didn't end. It taught that real respect is intentional, that dignity doesn't need a microphone, and that character shows when the world's got you in its crosshairs. Because how you carry yourself when no one believes you, that's your real badge. If this story made you pause, made you think, or move something in you, don't scroll past. Hit that like button. Share this video. Stories like this matter, and it's on us to make sure they're heard. Subscribe for more powerful stories grounded in truth, courage, and the moments that shape us.